see if that actually even works. I think it works fine. We are live. Well, welcome to the Urban Farmer channel. I've got my Urban Farmer page open on the left hand side. Not sure whether it might be your right hand side. The audio levels are looking good, so that's nice. And basically, I'll just go into my account and see if I can open up the live streaming. I'm not even sure if this is working. I haven't done this in a little while, so this may or may not work. Live streaming. It looks a bit odd because... Okay, here we go. Oh! Alright. I think we're up. I'm pretty excited. I've got my NBN, which is the fastest internet in Australia. It's when we come to internet, Australia is a third world country, so just anyone else in Zimbabwe watching this, you probably have better internet than me. Anyway, so how are we looking? I don't even know. I'm pretty excited. Last time I tested this was on my cable internet, and I think every third word was basically being heard, and every 55th frame in my video. So there you go. Testing NBN is working. Hello Andrew, welcome to the live event. How exciting. I thought, you know what, we're not going to have this video as an empty video of me just being super excited about NBN, but what we're going to do is I want to tell you a little bit about this book, Companion Planting in Australia. It's one of the probably better books that I've read on companion planting. I suppose there's plenty of companion planting books out there, but especially for sort of my videos and what I do, I like to have something that's nice and small. I know people will be surprised. I actually read. Yes, I do. So this book was actually written by Brenda Little, illustrated by Ken Gilroy. There you go. Beautiful people. Anyway, Andrew says, this guy, indeed. I am very excited, not gonna lie. All the good things that are coming just because the internet's been upgraded. Not gonna lie, pretty excited. Anyway, I'll read one of the first pages. Actually, no, I'll read the back of it just to give you a bit of an idea, because I think this particular book has been around for a while. So this has been published in a long time ago. I can tell you that, but I don't know exact year. Where has it been published? First published in 1982, so it's had a few iterations since then. Last printed in 2001 and 2002. There you go. But first published in 1982, so it's been around for a while. It's trusted, so it's definitely worth getting. I got this from my friend, who probably also got it from somewhere, but I didn't have to pay for it. Anyway, the book says as follows. When Brenda Little asked a friend what he understood by companion planting, he replied, marigolds with everything. From snippets of wisdom like this and a wealth of experience gleaned from the years of coping with unruly gardens, Brenda Little devised a system of gardening relying on observation of nature, a respect for plants and animals, and common sense. To be honest with you, common sense is all it really takes gardening, and in my opinion it also takes a few years to understand what works and what doesn't. I think some parts initially I was really good at in gardening, and some I failed miserably, which is also fine, because you learn every time you fail. You don't necessarily learn every time you win, because you don't know why you won, but you definitely know why you failed. I can tell you that, especially when gardening. Anyway, so Companion Planting is the result, a notebook of gardening tips compiled from her own observations, as well as suggestions from like-minded gardeners. I use this book quite a bit, predominantly. Now, I don't sort of try and cram 7 million crops into one area. I don't really sort of need to do that, but what I do use this book for is what can I plant next to my plants that's going to essentially make them stronger, make them more resilient. All the pests that we have, try and eliminate as much of them as possible. And that's basically what why I like companion planting. It's essentially to bring in the pollinators, bring in the larger insects that kill the smaller ones that end up essentially damaging leaves and all that sort of stuff. So that's why I sort of try and use this book. If let's say I'll read one where it talks about fennel. So if you have a dog, you need fennel in the garden. You need it as a plant in a pot outside the kennel, and for sprays to put inside the kennel to fleas. There you go. Did you know that? I didn't know that. If you have a dog, you need a fennel. Pick fennel, crunch it in your hand until the juices flow out and rub it onto your dog's coat. The dog won't mind. It likes the aniseed flavour. The fleas will hate it. See, I didn't know this myself. If you plant a fennel in the garden, keep it away from all beans, tomatoes, kohlrabi, and the herb coriander. Coriander and fennel have a mutually destroying effect. Never plant wormwood near fennel, as this will stunt its growth or even kill it. I don't plant fennels myself. It's not something that I enjoy eating. However, if you have a dog, that is something that you could do. Let's find another one. Let's see something else that we can look at. Herbs. Here we go. Herbs are happiest when growing in the company of others. So, for culinary use, it is good to have a mixed herb patch, minus fennels, obviously. When planting herbs as protection, it follows that one or two species planted together will do a better job. Annual herbs shouldn't be planted in the same spot 2 years in succession, for they will have taken too much of what they want out of the soil in the first year, or there to be enough to sustain another crop in the second. That is actually called a crop rotation, and you should rotate your crops regularly. Dried herbs mixed with seeds when planting will help will help to keep away birds, mice, and slugs. So we was talking about crop rotation. I forgot what the actual name is, but I think it's green bean root fruit or something along those lines. So if you think of greens as anything that's leafy, beans is obviously beans. They help put nitrogen back into the soil, or nitrogen back into the soil, I should say. Root and then fruit. So if you have anything that's basically rooty, it could be horseradish, it could be pretty much anything, potatoes, whatever you have, and fruit would be like your tomatoes and anything that's basically bearing fruit. So there you go. That is your crop rotation, and I recommend that you do it every year. Some people don't. Obviously, people that have a massive backyard, they can, not even backyard, like those commercial growers, they'll grow the same thing over and over again, but they just put a lot of commercial fertilizer on there to make sure that there's enough food for the plants to be able to survive. Not really survive. I mean, most plants are going to survive okay, but it's not about surviving, it's about thriving. You want those things to be really, really good. You want them to be strong. Anyway, how do I check? I'm trying, watching now. 2 watching. How do I know who's watching? Can you just write a message or something to tell me that you're watching? I don't even know. There must be a way of finding out the amount of people. I clearly haven't done these live videos very much, so... 3 people watching. Welcome. I still have no idea how you are, or how to actually even say hello to you, or I suppose over the camera. But anyway, so we'll be on for another couple of minutes. So I'll go through one more of these items in the book. So basically what we're going through is this book, and basically this is a companion planting book, but it's not just about companion planting. It's actually a lot more than that. Just a couple of minutes ago, we basically chatted about how fennel can help your dog and get rid of the dog's fleas. Let's see what else we have here. I think one of the here's one on mice. Obviously this thing doesn't grow, it's an animal, but there you go. Mice are fond of pea and bean seed. If you roll the seed in paraffin before planting, they will leave them alone. I will need to get my dictionary out to know what paraffin means. If you know what paraffin means, pop it in the comments below. Whoever can go onto the dictionary and Google it for me. Mildew. Many plants such as begonias are subject to mildew. Dried sage sprinkled around them will help, as will spraying with teas made from horsetail or nettle. I actually have quite a lot of nettle in my garden, and I went today, and that gives you rashes, and some serious rashes too. So it's good to have nettle, it's good to have tea, even having soup, it's very healthy. I've got mint in my garden, so I'll read one for mint. It says, mint is a must for every garden. The bought mint sauce is a pale shadow of the freshly made. Mint grows better in some shade. I actually have it in full sun, so it seems to overtake my garden anyway. Planted near the house, it will keep mice out. Planted near the cabbage patch, it will repel the cabbage white butterfly. Caterpillars and the flea beetle don't like it either. Fresh or dried mint in the pantry will keep ants away. Sachets of dried mint smell nice in the wardrobe and will repel the clothes moth. Never plant mint near parsley, they don't like each other. Well, that explains why my parsley is not doing too well. As a matter of fact, it's dead. So, parsley is gone bye-bye. Nasturtiums took me 7 years to figure out how to actually pronounce nasturtiums. English is not my strongest point. English is my second language, so excuse some of these pronunciations and when I read them. Nasturtiums are irritatingly rampant growers, but before you succumb to the impulse to rip them out, consider the good they do. Orange-coloured nasturtiums repel aphids, and aphids are these small annoying flies that just kill your plant basically if you don't get rid of them. If you leave them to grow under and even to twine up apple trees, they will control the spread of the woolly aphid. I do have an apple tree, and now that I know that that's the case, I'm going to plant one next to it. Nasturtiums grow in the greenhouse will protect more precious plants against whitefly. I didn't realize nasturtiums were that good. I have nasturtiums in my yard, but I just don't have them next to my apple tree. Nasturtiums secrete a mustard oil which insects find attractive, and they will seek them out in preference to any cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprout, kohlrabi and turnips growing nearby. It therefore makes good sense to let them wander between these crops to act not only as a ground cover but to keep the soil moist, but as a decoy for insects and as flavour improving agent for your crops. They are particularly good for giving a radish a good hot taste and for keeping away cucumber beetles. I actually really like eating nasturtiums. I eat the flower itself, and the flower is really tasty too. Okay, let's have a look. What else do we have here? Newspaper. Didn't realize that. Okay, let's see what we can use the newspaper for. I would be quite careful with using newspaper for anything crazy, only because it does have ink on there. I'm not sure how the ink will react with some of the things that you have inside your garden, and I don't know. I would be cautious, but let's see what they have to say. Newspaper is made from wood pulp and is degradable. Yes, it is. I can attest to that. It can be shredded and added to the compost bin or used directly on the soil. Overlapping thickness of newspaper well, so it can go into the bottom of trenches, can be used as a layer below mulch of leaves to keep down weeds. Newspaper once lived and can go back into the soil from which it grew. That is very true. I actually used a whole bunch of cardboard when I put my mulch down where my mini orchard is, and that worked well for a considerable amount of time. So let's see, what else do we have? Onions. Okay, onions can suffer badly from attack by thrips, whatever thrips are, and it's unlikely that you'll have enough hoverflies around to protect your crop, so make it part of a mixed planting. Onions grow well in alternate rows with carrots, which protect them against the onion fly, and with beetroot, silver and lettuce. Scattering of wood ash between the rows will give them added protection. Onions planted near apple trees will grow off apple scab, and minced onion peeling dug into the rose bed will help keep the roses free of bugs. A spray made by chopping up onions with their skin to a milk consistency in the wood blender and diluting the resultant liquid by half is useful against red spider and aphids, particularly the rose aphids. Well, there you go, something useful about onions as well, and not just eating them and having a bad breath and therefore having a bad day. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. There's a total of 3 people watching. How exciting for me! And anyway, I'd just like to wish you a very nice evening. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. I didn't realise 16 minutes elapsed. Like, what? 16 minutes? Can't believe I've been talking about 16 minutes. My George is doing this. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, if you find this information really exciting, you don't know what to do with it, well, just get your friends to subscribe and like the video as well. It's not really for me, it's for the algorithm. You know what it is, like the thing, if you don't feed it, it's like a plant. If you don't feed it, it just doesn't want to do anything, so you just like feed it likes and feed it subscribes, and it'll think that we're just the greatest thing on planet Earth. Anyway, good night. How do I actually stop this? Oh, here we go.